If a genie comes and offers a wish for medical students, almost every medical student will ask for this one thing, the inevitable power to remember everything they read and learn. Because being a medical student, we have to read lots and lots of textbooks and memorize lots and lots of facts and stuffs, and there are different study techniques available, and each student use different study strategies to retain the information they are learning. But there are two study techniques which are strongly backed up by extensive research and experiments, and it is scientifically proven as one of the effective study method that a student can use in order to remember the information for a longer period of time, and it is going on as a trend among medical students in the recent years, and it is called active recall and spaced repetition. So before getting into it, let me introduce myself. My name is Harish. I am currently doing my final year MBBS in a government medical college, and I am from Tamil Nadu. So in this video, we are going to see what exactly is this active recall and spaced repetition, and what's the science behind it, and how it's helping you to retain information for a longer period of time, and how you can apply these study techniques into your study habits, and what are the difficulties that I faced when I started to implement this technique into my study routines. So I'm going to give timestamp for everything. So if you want to skip to one particular content, please feel free to do it. And before getting into the video, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please do subscribe it for weekly videos on med school and life content, etc. So let's get into the video. So what is this active recall? Okay, it simply means quizzing yourself or testing yourself. Okay, it's basically trying to actively retrieve information from your brain without any help or clue. Okay, let me explain this with the help of this thing. Okay, consider this as your brain for time being, and consider this as your cortex, where your informations are getting stored in the form of short-term memory. And let's assume that you are learning a certain topic. For example, you are studying about cataract in ophthalmology. So you watch a lecture, or you may read a textbook, and you highlight the important points and you make notes. So what your brain actually does when you are learning, okay, it simply receives all the information and it stores it in your cortex. Okay, it doesn't know whether it's important information or it's unwanted information. All it wants is to store that information. So now you have completed the topic. Now you have to make sure that you are remembering all the information that you have learned. So you have to double check by revising the topic. So what the most people do, okay, they just simply go through their notes, or they just simply go through the points they have highlighted in the textbooks. But now, instead of doing that, we are going to test ourselves. We are going to quiz ourselves. Like, you are going to answer some of the questions that you learn from that topic without help of any book or your material. For example, there are 10 questions available for cataract. So like, what is cataract, what are types of cataract, what are classifications and morphological classification, pathology. There are lots and lots of questions, and now you are going to answer those questions. So what your brain actually does when you quiz yourself, okay, your brain has stored lots and lots of information, and it has made a neuronal pathway for all the information it has stored. So when you quiz yourself, your brain tries to filter out all the information and make an effort to retrieve that one single answer. So basically your brain is making an active effort to retrieve an answer for you. So there is a high chance that it will retain that answer for a longer period of time, since it is cognitively more demanding. But instead of that, if you simply go through your notes, or if you simply reread your notes and your highlighted points passively, it is not that cognitively demanding. Okay, you are not actually pushing your brain to its limit to retain or retrieve that answer. In simple terms, for example, if you make lots of effort and work to find a particular address on your own, there is high chance that you will remember that address for a longer period of time. Okay, you will remember the route and turnings that you have to take to reach that address. But instead, if someone helps you to find that address easily, there is high chance that you may forget that answer very sooner. So this is the simple concept of that active recall, and all your exams and vivas are based on this active recall. So you may ask this question, okay, if I do active recall, or if I quiz myself once, will I retain information for a longer period of time? And the answer is no, because you have to understand that the exact and active mechanism of brain is not to store the information. The main function of the brain is to forget the information, because you are giving lots and lots of billions of input to your brain every day, and it have to forget all the unnecessary information to make space for all the new information that are incoming. So it is called forgetting mechanism, and there is a graph for this forgetting mechanism, and it is called forgetting curve. So what this curve depicts, okay, for example, if you read a topic on day 1, there is high chance that you will forget about 60% of that concept by day 4, and within a week you will forget almost 90 to 95% of that information. So if you read a topic on Monday and if you give a test on Friday, there is high chance that you may not remember all the answers. That's why you should space out your studies. So how to overcome this forgetting curve? The simple way is to space out your revisions. For example, if you study topic on day 1, revise it on day 2 and on day 5 and on day 10 and on day 20 and once a month and once in twice a month and once a year, so on. Okay, it depends on your cognitive ability. So once you space out your studies, there is high chance that the curve will get flattened on each reviews. So once the curve gets flattened, your brain will understand that these informations are so vital and it should be stored for a longer period of time. So it simply shifts the information from your cortex to your hippocampus, where your informations are stored as a long-term memory. So if you combine this active recall and spaced repetition, you are basically training your mind to remember that one information for longer period of time. It has been shown that the students who are using active recall and spaced repetition as their main strategy for exam preparation are doing way better than the students who are not quizzing themselves and who are not spacing out their studies and revisions. So now let's go to the next part of this video, okay, how to apply these study techniques like active recall and spaced repetition in your study routines. So if you are a note-taking person and if you love to take lots and lots of notes, you can apply this active recall strategy in 2 ways. The first one is, instead of simply copying down or noting down all the important points from your lectures or textbook, try this method instead. Okay, once you complete the topic, just simply close all your textbook and source material and try to make your own notes from the things you remember from that topic. Okay, just write down all the important points you know, and then open your textbook and fill out the information that were left. There is high chance that you will remember that information due to hypercorrection effect. And the second strategy is, there is a note-taking system called Cornwell note-taking system, and it is also called zero note-taking method. So in this, instead of writing down all the notes, we are going to break that entire topic into small questions and try to answer those questions by yourself and mark down the question that you are finding difficult to answer or that you couldn't able to answer. So when you want to revise that topic again, focus on the questions that you found difficult before. So if you don't like to make notes, you can simply teach yourself or teach others the concepts you have learned. Because when you teach others, you have to actively retrieve information from your brain, which is basically an active recall. That's why when you teach others, there is a high chance that you will remember that information for a longer period of time. The other methods are flashcards. Okay, you can make digital flashcard which usually contains the questions in the front and answers in the back, and there are many special software available for that with spaced repetition algorithm like Anki, Quizlet, Brainscape, etc. And these flashcards are very effective way to remember the facts that need to be memorized no matter what. And the other systems are, you can use toggle system that are available in Notion and RemNotes. And if you don't want to do any of these things, there is another easy and effective method to apply this active recall. It's by practicing your question bank, because every university will have its own question bank, own previous year questions and model questions. So try to solve those questions, try to recall the answers for those questions, which is basically an active recall, and you may retain information and you may remember that information for a longer period of time. So let's get into the final part of the video, that is, what are the practical difficulties that I faced when I tried to implement these study techniques. Actually, I know about this active recall and spaced repetition only a year ago when I was watching Ali Abdaal's video. So if you want to know more about this concept, I would recommend you to watch that guy's video. It was amazing. So when I was introduced to that concept, I was so much excited and I wanted to try out. So when I try to implement that thing, I face lots of practical difficulties. The first one is I found it exhausting. Okay, since active recall needs lots of mental effort, since it is cognitively demanding, you feel like you are getting exhausted sooner. Okay, for example, if you try to solve 20 questions, or if you try to solve 50 flashcards, you feel like you are completely burned out. And the second thing is consistency and discipline. Okay, basically I'm a guy who doesn't have a regular study habit. Okay, someday I study for like 5 to 6 hours, someday I never study at all, or someday I will study for like half an hour. It completely based on my university examination schedule. Okay, if I have some exam coming on, I will study with lots of focus. I will revise the topics properly, and I will score decent mark, and I will forget information as soon as the exam gets over. So for the guy like me, I really found it difficult to adopt these new study techniques, since the spaced repetitions need a consistent work. And the third thing is basically I'm a lazy person. I will try to revise the topics regularly, but sometimes I find it boring to revise the same topics that I knew. And the fourth one is mindset shift. Since I was comfortable with my old study habits, I find it difficult to shift my mindset to adopt to these new study techniques. But despite everything, I tried to implement this technique, and then the COVID second wave happened and everything got collapsed. And these are the silly excuses, and these are the small reasons that can be modified, and these are the small difficulties that we can tackle, because I know that this study technique will definitely work. Okay, it will definitely help us to remember the information for a longer period of time, and it will definitely help us to study in a much smarter way. So I am going to try my best to adopt to these new study techniques, and probably I may make a video the next year on how I cracked my final year MBBS with the help of active recall and spaced repetition. Okay, there are lots of chances for that. So for that, you have to subscribe to this channel, and you have to hit that bell icon so that you will not miss any notification from my channel. So thanks for watching. If you really love this content, please do give me thumbs up. It will help YouTube algorithm to recommend this channel to lots and lots of people. So once again, thanks for watching, and until next time, signing off with a smile.